What's going on, guys? Over here at my brother's house, and he just bought a new truck. Let me show you. 2017 GMC Denali. And he's already inside. He's putting in a little under seat tray that he got off eBay. But it's a 6.2 liter V8 truck, 4-wheel drive with the magnetic ride control. So what we're actually doing in this video is we're going to install a leveling kit here on the front of the truck. And I've got things set up here on the tailgate, and I'll show you the parts that we're going to use. Okay, so here's the kit that we're using. It's from a company called Suspension Maxx. There's the part number, SMX GM725M. They say this is for the magnetic ride control. And that's important because there is a little ride height sensor connected to the control arm. And in this kit, they give you these little brackets, basically is what they are. These bolt to a tab on the control arm, and then your ride height sensor bolts to these other tabs right here. And they give you a little list here in the instructions, a little diagram here to show you the bolt hole location for the sensor for the different lift positions of this kit. It is an adjustable kit. So these are the spacers that go above the coil-over. So these bolt to the lower control arm and relocate the lower mounting position of the coil-over 1.5 inches up. So these alone will give you 1.5 inches, and then you can go as much as adding another inch with these spacers right here. So this is really all that's in the kit. Some brackets, some spacers, more brackets, hardware, and some instructions here. So we'll show you how to install all this stuff. So this truck, as I mentioned, does have the magnetic ride control, which is that little arm right there. So that's the one way that you know that you do have magnetic ride control. So the first thing we're gonna do, the directions actually tell you to work both sides at the same time. For our purposes, it's easier just to do one side at a time. They don't specify why we need to do both sides at the same time. However, to make things go easier, we're gonna disconnect the sway bar. Okay, 15mm wrench and socket. You will need a socket on the bottom because there's a little bit of a pocket right down there. But 15mm wrench and socket to get that off. So we'll start there. So that's all we need to do. You just need to take the top little bushing and nut off. You don't need to remove anything else from the sway bar. Next on the list is we're going to remove the strut from the lower control arm. 2 bolts there, 15mm socket or wrench, whatever you want to use, and we'll pull those out. So with the bolts out, we got 2 little caps there. They're basically captured nuts. We need to remove those. This one little clip here, this wire, this goes into the top of the shock for the magnetic ride control. That clip needs to be undone so that we can get the little spacers on later on. So with that one clip undone for the wiring, we have 3 nuts here that hold the coilover to the frame. We need to get those off. It's an 18mm nut, so 18mm wrench or socket. Now we have to remove the ride height sensor only from the lower control arm mounting point, and it's just a 10mm box-in wrench. And that little tab on the control arm is actually threaded, so you just twist that out. So our strut assembly is completely free. This is the part where we're going to add the spacers. We are only doing a 2-inch lift, so we are only adding 2 spacers. This part, which spaces the strut, the little coilover, this spaces it at the control arm end. This alone gives you 1.5 inches of lift. And then, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, these spacers make this lift kit, this leveling kit I should say, adjustable. We're only doing 2 inches, so 1.5 inches plus 1/2, there's our 2 inches. So we're going to drop the strut away from the bucket here on the frame and put our 2 spacers in. Go ahead. All right, so this is dropped away. We need to pull the little wire down through, and then we slip our spacers in place. Okay, so there's one. And there's 2. So we'll put that strut back in place. Don't forget to push your cord. There we go, up and through. This frame is nasty. Oh, there we go. All right, that nut started. So as you just saw, this part is best with 2 people. We've got the nuts, the new nuts that came in the kit. We're just using those to help hold it in place for now. We're gonna leave them loose and we'll tighten them down at the end. All we need to do is put our spacer plate under the strut there. We're prying on the lower control arm from the frame where it connects to the frame using a block of wood here. That seems to work well for us. All right, here we go. Got enough?
Yeah. Got it.
Got it. Okay. One thing I do want to point out here, if you remember earlier when we took the sway bar, or we disconnected the sway bar, you can see how much space we now have with the sway bar loosened up like that. It helps a lot. Once those are in place, it's just a little 14mm wrench and socket. We'll get those snug down. Okay, so the side with 4 holes is the 3rd one. Yes, yeah, that one right there.
Actually threaded.
That one's threaded?
Yep, that's the one that was threaded.
Is it going?
That might be. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going. Okay. So one thing that is strange about these little brackets they give us, one of the holes is threaded while all the others are not. So it does seem a little strange. I'm not sure why they did that, maybe for cost reasons or something. But in this case, our hole is threaded for the amount of lift we're using, so we're just gonna thread this in. If it's not threaded, they do give you a nut that you use to bolt this lever to the bracket. All right, so we just put a little bit of a slight load on the suspension. Now we're just gonna tighten down our sway bar. Well, this is it, we're all done. So I know this is not exactly apples to apples comparison. We have a 2017 GMC and then my 2014 GMC. The 2017 is 4-wheel drive, mine's 2-wheel drive, but my suspension is completely unmodified. The trucks are very similar. It's not an apples and oranges comparison, but you know, we're talking new apples versus old apples. So it's as close as we can get. We did forget to get measurements before we started the installation, but you can tell just by looking at the wheel well openings. Let me get over here. The gap, I should say, between the tire and the wheel well, and the tire and the wheel well, you can tell that's much different. Hoods are a little bit different height. I mean, it's basically 2 inches. And it did do a pretty good job of leveling out the truck. If I had to say, it's maybe still a little nose down, but I'm fine with that, and more importantly, my brother's fine with that. It's his truck. But that's it, guys. I appreciate you watching. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe.